Hey, what's up, y'all? This is yours truly, Carol Warner, and welcome back to my channel where we discuss everything culture. Okay, so one of the co-hosts of The Real, Miss Loni Love, did an interview with Madame Noir on another episode of In This Room. And they talked mostly dating, but at the tail end of the interview, Loni Love was asked if she ever felt any pressure to censor herself on the show. And her response was quite transparent. Loni reveals that she has to be careful with her delivery when discussing certain topics because she is a darker complected woman and also because she is plus size. So let's go ahead and take a look at the clip and then we'll discuss even further.
The one thing I can say, and it was funny because I was just talking about this to my team. Being on a show like The Real, I'm the darkest and I'm the biggest girl. You have to understand, even though they're women of color, you have to look at the women of color I'm sitting next to. So if there's a certain subject, there's a certain way that I have to deliver things, because if I have this thin Asian chick next to me and I'm barking at her, that's what it looks like to America. So you have to be aware of what you say and how you say it. You know, if I have the petite Hispanic girl and I'm yelling at her, or I'm just being, my voice is deeper than everybody on the table. That's just my natural, we have a natural deepness, I have to be aware of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. So even just with lighting on the show, if you look at the show, look at the first season of the show, we didn't have the proper lighting for a dark-skinned big woman. And you could look, sometimes you couldn't even see my face. So because of that, you had to change some things. And it's like when people see things, they take your message a different way if you don't look a certain way to them. So I had to try to fix that. It's gotten a lot better for our show.
So you guys, I appreciate Loni's transparency in her having to advocate for what's appropriate while filming a darker complected woman on a set of a daytime talk show alongside other women of color whose physical features are perceived by society as less threatening, if you will. And so Loni has seemingly accepted the fact that because she is a dark-skinned plus-size woman, there's going to be certain personality traits of hers that she has to adjust so that she isn't taken out of context by the viewers. And listen, I'm so for this type of self-awareness and all. And, Loni's not saying she doesn't feel like she can't be herself. But what I believe she's saying is her appearance paired with a more aggressive tone on the show would possibly make the show's audience perceive her as the angry Black woman. And she mentioned in the interview that she has to be careful of how she sounds while she's talking about a hot topic. She said that she has a natural quote unquote bark, which is, in my opinion, aggressiveness or maybe assertiveness, if you will. And because I don't want to interconnect the two, assertiveness and aggressiveness is two separate things. So she has a natural assertiveness about herself. And now Black women are often faced with having to quote unquote tone down their assertiveness in the workplace, especially when working alongside white women. So let me go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the context of what it looks like between a Black woman and a white woman in the workplace when it comes down to communication style and how we tend to engage with one another. Okay, so it's always been problematic for me because I've noticed that when white women are assertive in the workplace, they are typically viewed as just having a dominant working style. Okay, whereas when Black women are just as assertive as their white woman counterpart in the workplace, in return, white women tend to get super intimidated by that. And then they go ahead and they end up going to a superior or a supervisor to complain about the Black woman's assertiveness, and will spin the Black woman's assertiveness as aggressiveness. So then the supervisor, usually ends up pulling the Black woman into the office and makes the suggestion to be more cognizant of how she communicates with her peers. And I'm gonna be honest, this has white privilege written all over it. And so I'm sure Loni has learned from her experiences. And even though, as she stated in the interview, that she's sitting alongside other women of color, you have to, again, take into consideration what those women of color look like and how they're valued in the eyes of mainstream media, America, and overall American society. So again, I'm sure that Loni has learned from her experiences, and I'm also certain that this particular type of socializational power struggle is even worse in the entertainment industry, because not only as a Black woman do you have to deal with colorism and shadeism and racism and sexism, there's this added layer of being expected to conform to the imagery of Hollywood. So now, as a Black woman in the industry, you are also facing weightism, texturism, and all other isms that produces pressure to look and be a certain way other than who you really are. And so basically, what Loni Love is doing is code switching. And we practice code switching every day. We typically code switch in interviews. We typically code switch when we're talking to someone of importance over the phone. And we code switch when we're at work, just to find that balance. And again, that's basically what Loni has learned to do within the entertainment industry, because the entertainment industry is a market and she has to find herself being marketable to mainstream media and to the audience in which she is targeting, so to speak. So she understands the dynamics. She understands the concept of white privilege and light skin privilege and what it means to be a dark skinned plus size woman. She is very intuitive and very forthright about what steps she needs to take in order to perpetuate the balance on the set. And so for that reason alone, I can't be mad at what Loni is saying. And you guys, again, my problem has always been how others perceive Black women and our assertiveness. But I do understand Loni's logic, and I couldn't agree with her more. Dark skinned plus size women have historically been viewed as hard and rough and as a carrier of masculine energy. So again, Loni is no fool. She knows exactly how imagery works in the entertainment industry, and she knows that she has to be careful as to be marketable to her targeted audience, and to also find that balance amongst her and the other co-hosts of The Real based upon their physical appearance alone. She understands that, she comprehends it, and so she's living the truth of a dark-skinned plus-size woman. She's not the only one that feels that way. She's just bold enough to speak out against it. So again, I cannot scrutinize Loni for feeling how she feels, and I couldn't agree with her more. Now, you guys, what I do wonder is if she feels she has to censor her personality for her new boo, who happens to be white. I've always found it interesting how Black folks are so conscious about these types of social structures, yet get in relationships with those that they run the risk of having to essentially assimilate to or conform to their dominant culture, quote unquote. So, Loni, I wonder, do you feel that you have to code switch with your new man? Do you feel that you have to assimilate to his culture in a sense? Or do you feel so comfortable with this man? And if that's the case, kudos to you, girl. But do you feel that you have to conform to the ideology? Do you feel like you have any days off? Do you feel that you can be who you are authentically 100% with your new boo? I mean, because you feel that you have to tame certain characteristic traits or personality traits of yourself while you're at work on the show with other women of color. So with you dating a man who is non-black or a man who is white, I just wonder if, you feel like you feel at work, at home, while you're dating this man. So that would have been an interesting question posed in the interview. And I'm wondering if perhaps maybe somebody will follow up with that interview question. I would really like to know if she feels that she has to assimilate to her man's culture, because she feels like she has to essentially assimilate to her co-host at work. So anyway, I just thought that would be an interesting question. I am going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. And also, if you would be so gracious, please drop a comment below. Feedback is appreciated. And as always, I truly, truly am honored to have you all following this channel. And I hope that you enjoyed the topic. Thank you again. Have a great one.